TitleMatchNetwork.com.
What are your early impressions of Hulk Hogan? What are your memories of the Hulkster?
I think he had a little trouble catching on to what the business was all about, and they pushed him and pushed him and pushed him, and he couldn't quite get it. They brought him. I know they brought him into AWA to be as a heel, and he just didn't have enough experience at the time to be a heel. He didn't know how to do it, and they even had a pretty good manager with him, Johnny Valentine, who was a great talker and stuff. And, anyway, and he was sort of in the emulating the Billy Graham style.
Right.
And it didn't get over. It didn't get over at all. So they had to let Johnny Valentine go, and then they made him a baby face. They made him a baby face, and that worked out. And he drew a lot of money. So, and for the rest, it's history.
Did you see the potential in him as a big baby face?
It wasn't my job, so I don't know. I thought, he's a big guy. He's going to probably do okay. Just being a heel wasn't his thing at the time.
Memories of...
and I think even after a while, it still isn't his thing. But anyway.
Andre the Giant? Memories of Andre coming into the territory? He did a better
Yes,
role.
I do. I was actually being flown into the Grand Prix Wrestling in Montreal because he was brought over from France, and he worked there first, as far as I know. And that's where he met his longtime traveling companion, whose name I've just forgotten. I know it, but anyway, Andre came in, and he's this huge, tall, lean guy. And a guy jumps out of the ring, and Andre jumps out of the ring, and Andre catches the guy. I mean, quick like a fox. He just... I'm looking at this big, tall guy. I mean, he really big head. He still had the big head. And he was just really an athlete, just really boom, 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 boom. And I thought, geez, that guy is super. And then he did so many other fantastic things in the ring. He was a really good athlete when he first came over. He was younger, and of course, as he got older, he got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, but he was always a great guy, wonderful person to be around, and he always called me boss, and he always wanted to play cribbage with me. So, and I was always glad to play cribbage with him, and maybe sip a suds or few, 2, 10, 7, 9.
Anyway, Larry Zbyszko, memories of Larry?
Well, I knew Larry from the WWF. Shortened to WWF now. Anyway, I met him there and worked with him. He was fine. Then he went to the AWA, and he had a little different style of working, but it was that was all okay too. And Larry himself seems like an okay guy, just
Rick Martel.
He has a pet snake, but other than that, Rick Martel, another great guy, just a terrific worker, just can bounce around and bing bang boom 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 boom.
Were you a wrestling fan growing up?
Not really. I started out wanting to be like my older brother. He played football, he played basketball, and he ran track. He was a good athlete. And I worshiped my older brother. I wanted to be exactly like him. So I went out for football. I was a short, chubby child, but I did my best. And they kept me on the team. And I grew, and I got better and better and better. I went out for basketball. Thank you, basketball. Because that's how I became a wrestler. My older brother, he could dribble and he could shoot. But the coaches found out right away as a freshman, the Baron couldn't dribble and couldn't shoot. So there was my name at the top of the list. Cut! Cut from the team! What could I do? So my father said, go out for the wrestling team. So I walked into Mr. Eckfeld's office at North High in Omaha, Nebraska. And I said, Mr. Eckfeld, I would like to try out for wrestling. And he said, well, we're pretty far into this season. And if you come out now, you just get your clock clean and you'll quit. You have to wait till next year. So I waited. And then next year after football, I went to Mr. Eckfeld and I said, I want to be a wrestler. And he said, okay. So I started out and I wrestled and I learned all the basics that I could. And wrestling's a sport where you learn step by step. It's not like tennis. There are no teenage phenoms. You go out, you work. It's a hard sport, a tough sport. But I did it all. I did it the way I was supposed to.
Who was your mentor?
That would be Mr. Eckfeld, Vernon Eckfeld from Omaha North High School. Anyway. And my father, of course, he loved wrestling. Amateur wrestling. And boxing. And so my sophomore year, I didn't make the team. In my junior year, after football again, I went out and I worked just as hard, harder even. And I didn't make the team. But nothing was going to stop me. My senior year, I went out for wrestling. I made the team. The first tournament I was in, the North High Invitational, I won. I not only won, but I beat the champion from South High. I beat him and won the championship. And then I went on, dual meet after dual meet. Well, I take that back. The next meet, I wrestled the same guy from South High, and he beat me. He beat me. Which upset me a bit, by the way. Made me even more determined. So then I went out and match after match after match. 19 in all, if I remember right. And I probably don't. I beat them all. And there I was in a state tournament. And eventually, I came to the finals. I made it to the semifinals and the quarterfinals and all the preliminary matches. In the finals against Bill Pickering. And guess who Bill Pickering was? Last year's state champ that I'd beaten in the Northern Invitational. And he beat me the next week. Bill Pickering. I went out and I wrestled him. And I won the bid. I won the state title. Nebraska state champion. I was so happy. My father was so happy. Everybody was so happy. I might have even gotten a date that week. I don't think so, but maybe. Anyway, that was the start of my wrestling career in high school. Sophomore in high school. And then I had decided I wanted to go to the University of Nebraska, being raised in Omaha. And there I went, and I walked onto the football field, and I said, "Give me a suit. I want to be I want to be a football player." And I had some success in playing football at North High. And they said, "Okay, we'll give you a suit." I was a walk-on. They call them walk-ons now. They gave me a suit. And by the second semester, they'd given me a scholarship, a full scholarship to play football. But I still wanted to wrestle. And I was very fortunate because the coach of the wrestling team was Bill Smith, an Olympic champion. And he gave me so much knowledge and inspiration. And all the wrestlers that he drew to come and work out with us that didn't even go to the school. Raschke, Larry, Dan Brand, a graduate. They came back and they helped me and helped me and helped me. And eventually, by the time I was a senior, I won a Big 8 championship. Then I was drafted into the Army. And then I wrestled on 2 world teams. I made the Olympic team. Got hurt, didn't go.
What happened in '64? Just to let you know.
64, you even know.
Yeah. I didn't want you to think you have to do this in character. I mean,
I can do it any way I want, right?
You can do it.
I like to do it this way.
Okay, it's up to you.
But I can do it this way, too.
All right. That way you don't get burned out.
Yes.
So,
In 64, what happened?
In '64, when you were going over to the Olympics, what happened with your injury that kept you from competing?
Okay, well, I won the tryouts at the they were actually held at the New York World's Fair. You know that big globe that they always show?
Yeah.
It's still there. Right below that or near that, there was a arena, outdoor arena, and it was the sun was beating down, and the urethane mats were getting real soft, and guys would get suplexed and get knocked out. And it was not the greatest place, but anyway, it worked out pretty good for me. Anyway, I wrestled and I won, and I won the Greco-Roman part of the tournament, and Larry Christoph won the freestyle tournament. And then we were taken down to Annapolis in Maryland, the academy, the Naval Academy, and Roger Staubach was the big quarterback back then, and we would go into the we'd go into the dining hall where the cadets were, but we were separated, of course, because we were cadets, and have our meals and stuff. And every day they'd come in and they'd grab Roger and they'd pick him up on his shoulders and they'd dance around the room because he was a big hero and he deserved all that too. It was great. But anyway, it was that kind of a scenario. Anyway, then we had some workouts and stuff, and during a workout, one of the other wrestlers who I had beaten 4 times at the time was also invited to work out with us, and somehow he'd hooked me below the elbow and tried to suplex me or salto me or whatever he's trying to do, and it hyperextended my elbow, and then he did it once, and then he did it twice, and really injured the elbow, and I left the area, and then it swelled up, and it was almost time for us to catch the plane to go to Tokyo, and I was hurt, so they didn't take me, they took him, and anyway, I didn't get to go to the Olympics. I made the team, but I didn't get to go. So the how'd they say that on ABC Sports? The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. I suffered that. I'm almost over it now, by the way.
Let's talk about your early upbringing in the sport of professional wrestling as far as the training goes. Who would you consider your mentor then?
My mentor, my first mentor, of course, was I was stationed in the Army, and I wrote to a guy in my hometown, Joe Dusick, who worked with a man named Vern Gagne, who I'm sure a lot of people have heard of, who was a very famous pro wrestler. He's also an amateur wrestler. And I sent Joe Dusick my credentials from, this is about a year later after the Olympic thing, and I'd hurt my knee. I was in the hospital with a fellow named John Cunningham who had the same injury, and he was a wrestling fan. And I watched it on TV, and I thought, oh, that's something I might want to do. Up to the time, I was making $95 a month. What do you know? I thought they'd probably make more than that, maybe. Turns out not necessarily true, but anyway, I wrote to this fellow Joe Dusick in Omaha, and very nice man, by the way, and he said, well, it's nice enough to write back, and I sent him all my amateur credentials, of course. So I'm sure the guys in the locker room had a big laugh about that. Anyway, because it's different for pro wrestling. Anyway, he wrote a nice letter back and said, I don't have any facilities to train you, but I'll introduce you to Vergania, and he'll probably train you. And sure enough, I got out of the Army to teach school. I was a zoology major, and I was licensed to teach biology and general science. So I got a job teaching biology and general science at Horace Mann High School in junior high, and I promoted myself, junior high in Omaha, and so I was teaching there for a year. I decided not to take Joe up on his generous offer to introduce me to Vern. Anyway, after several months, I still had the bug to wrestle, so I made the 1965 World Championship team for representing the U.S. And I went there. I won, and I went there, and I didn't do that great. But anyway, after it was over, I thought, well, there's got to be a better way to make money than teaching school, and decided.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.